now discuss the labor market equilibrium. The assumption we're making over here is that we have a perfectly competitive labor market where each firm takes the wage as given. Now, the labor market equilibrium will determine the natural level of employment or the full employment level of employment N star and the equilibrium real wage W star. Once we have the natural level of employment or the full employment level of employment N star, we can determine the full employment or natural or potential output Y star through the production function, where Y star will be given to us as A, F, which is a function of K and N star. Now let's discuss the algebra for the labor market. Now we're given the production function, which is y is equal to a times the function of k and n, and we're given the labor supply equation. We want to find the equilibrium level of real wages, the W star, and the equilibrium level of employment, the full employment level of employment N star. So we essentially want to find W star and N star. And we want to find the potential output or full employment level of output Y star. The three steps will follow. In step one, we'll first find labor demand. The assumption here is that labor market is perfectly competitive. So we find the labor demand equation by setting the marginal cost of each worker, which is the real wage, equal to the marginal benefit of each worker, which is the marginal product of labor. We can find the marginal product of labor by differentiating our production function with respect to labor. In step two, we will solve for W star and N star. So we know equilibrium in the labor market is where labor demand is labor supply, right? We know this is the equilibrium W star, equilibrium N star. So what we essentially need to do is we need to simultaneously solve labor demand and labor supply equation. So we'll basically end up with a system of two equations in two unknowns, W, which is the real wage, and N, employment. We can solve this system by substitution to get W star and N star, which lies at the point of intersection of labor demand and labor supply. In step three, we finally find Y star, where what we do is we plug in the equilibrium value of N, which is the full employment level of employment N star, in our production function to get Y star, where we know, as we discussed, Y star is equal to AF KN star.